Right now, let's get over to Peter Matthews because our political science professor from Cypress College, I want to break down this jobs report that was released today, Professor. Thank you for being here. Okay, let me punch it again. How are you?
Hey, doing good, Dave.
All right, so Peter, 200,000 jobs, a lot of noise being made about how many jobs that is, and then you go down the list, and I'm looking at the specifics. Have you done that yet, and what does it tell you? What do they tell you?
I have done that, and I found about two-thirds of those jobs are pretty much low-paying or moderate-paying jobs in hotels, hospitality industry.
There you go.
Service jobs, and that's not the kind of jobs we need to have a real recovery, Dave. So there's a lot to be done, and the president went on yesterday on television and said he wants to close some of the unfair corporate loopholes and bring some money in to invest in jobs. But I got to talk about the details of that when you get a second.
Okay, so before I jump into the president's speech and what you think, when we break down the numbers of the 200,000 jobs, I have the breakdown that Vanessa pulled for me from ADP, their National Employment Report. They say service jobs, 177,000. These are the kinds of jobs you're referring to, right?
Yes, I am. They're not the 21st century jobs that we need to strengthen our economy. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, Professor. This reminds me of when you take a vacation, you go to a resort, and there's a lot of jobs being done by people around the hotel, but none of those are very big jobs.
No, they're
see
not.
what I'm saying?
I do see what you're saying, and they don't pay a living wage here in the United States.
That's my point.
And people have to work more than one job when they have those kinds of jobs, and that's just not right for working people in the middle class.
Why are we still stuck in this funk, if you will?
I think President Obama yesterday, when he came out with this idea of closing loopholes on the corporations and then, going ahead and lowering their marginal tax rate and bringing in some money, he only said, let's put $50 billion into infrastructure. I would say Mr. Obama missed the most important part is small business. That money, when you close those corporate loopholes, you could bring in about $500 billion, Dave, just from that alone. That's been shown. And you could take some of that money and pay for college education and make sure students can graduate with technical skills, with high-paying jobs. And you can also bring money for small business to expand their capital and to expand their employment. And we need to focus on those things. Also, infrastructure, Dave. The American Society of Civil Engineers said we need $2 trillion to rebuild our infrastructure, our roads and our bridges and our sewer lines. You know what happened in Washington State a couple months ago? A bridge fell down while people were driving up to it. And then 6 years ago, a bridge fell down in Minnesota where 13 people were killed. So we got infrastructure work to do as well. I think President Obama needs to focus on what will create the 21st century jobs, which also means training people properly and educating them fully.
Oh, no question. And I'm glad you're touching on that last point. Save that thought because you just touched on two or three very fundamental pillars. But can he do that without the support of Congress? And to me, that's a key question because I was watching even Fox News today, and they're saying that they are watching the executive orders that he's getting ready to pass during summer recess. My question is this: can he implement some of these economic initiatives without the vote of Congress?
No. In fact, he cannot implement the closing of the corporate loophole, for example, offshore tax haven loophole. He cannot do that without Congress passing it, and that's a real problem because he's got the right-wing Tea Party Republicans controlling Congress. And here's the thing. This corporate loophole alone, the offshore tax haven loophole, it costs every Californian $423 extra in taxes that we have to pay because the corporations don't pay at the federal level here in California. It's a shift of $11 billion from individuals in California to the corporations' pockets. Talk about small business, Dave. It costs every small business in California an extra $2,000 extra in taxes because the big business corporations are not paying their fair share because of the offshore loophole alone. And there are many, many other loopholes. So the president has to get Congress aboard and to back him, but it's very tough now because he doesn't have the numbers in Congress. I think he's going to try to campaign in 2010 for more progressive people. Well,
I realize that the numbers are going to be tough in the House. I was just watching reading the L.A. Times front page article on immigration. They're predicting that is going to be derailed in the House. But
I have to agree with it.
But let's look at the economic issue. If there is not a win that the conservative side of the equation sees, why would they support any kind of change? And then to the listeners who are tuned in hearing you, what is the alternative for you and me? What do we do?
Well, the answer is that these right-wing Republicans, the Tea Partiers, will not support any kind of change. And it's really sad because many times even things that they have spoken in favor of, what Obama has come up with, they completely oppose it because it's President Obama that presented it. So he's got a real conundrum, a real problem here he's got to work out. And what does it mean for you and me? It means that we got to get out there and vote in 2014 for the most progressive candidates, especially the Democrats and some Republicans who don't take money from corporate lobbyists, who won't vote for all these corporate loopholes, and will actually do as the president says, and even do more to invest those monies going overseas, to bring them back here, bring those jobs back here, and create new revenue for the government and for ourselves. So we got to get out there and vote, Dave. That's the main thing. And I'm telling you, I'm trying to get people educated, and you're doing a great job on this show. But other shows have to get on and talk about these things directly.
You know, one of the points I also, as a final thought, would like to ask you about, when I look at this jobs report, of the 200,000 jobs, which is really not that much when you look at the landscape of America, only 50,000 jobs were added by large companies with 1,000 or more employees, only 50,000 jobs.
Mm-hmm.
And that concerns me because that tells me that they're hiring, but not in America.
That is so true. They're hiring in those global south, the third world poor, cheap labor countries like Indonesia, Mexico, India, China, don't forget. And that's where those good jobs are going at lower wages over there, because you can get an Indian computer scientist to write the software for $20,000 a year, whereas here, an American graduate in computer science could write it and he'd get paid $80,000 a year starting out. That's what it used to be. So we've got to find a way to invest again in this country. I suggest we go to some direct government training and employment, as well as small business employment.
Oh, I like that. I like that idea. I like the idea. Would like to take up that subject perhaps with you next week. The workforce investment boards. Do some homework on that, because I believe that WIBs are underutilized across California, and they're giving money back to the feds that they're not using in local communities, money that they ought to be spending to get people retrained. Professor Peter Matthews, thank you.
Thank you so much, David. Take care.
Professor of Political Science at Cypress College, Peter Matthews with us. Love to have him on. He breaks it down in a way that I can understand. Also known and seen on many television and radio stations around the country.